Am I on? Mm-hmm. Hey everyone in Facebook land, this is Eric Rodebois. I am once again doing a video blog post. This is EPGD, Attorneys at Law. We're going to switch it up. I was advertised to do something on decanting of a trust. And I will save that for next week only because something really important came up today. And that is the unauthorized practice of law. Now, it's a big mouthful, but let me just break it down for you. If someone who is not a lawyer is doing legal work, and I will define that for you in a minute, it is a civil and a criminal problem, okay? Obviously, the Florida Bar and the Florida Supreme Court, and for that matter, the Florida Constitution, and the equivalents in every other state are interested in protecting the integrity of our laws and, most importantly, protecting the citizens of our states. So what is the unauthorized practice of law? Now this I'm actually going to have to read for you because Florida creates they don't define the practice of law. It's kind of like if it walks like a duck and it talks like a duck, it's probably a duck. So it's one of those facts and circumstances type test. But this is the actual language from the Florida Supreme Court case in 1962. It's State X Rel, the Florida Bar versus Sperry. And this is the line. It is generally understood that the performance of services in representing another before the courts is the practice of law. So obviously you go to court for someone that's lawyering. But the practice of law also includes the giving of legal advice and counsel to others as to their rights and obligations under the law. So if somebody's telling you whether something's legal or illegal, you need to be careful. Because if it goes beyond what a reasonable, normal person understands of the law, then it could actually be considered the unauthorized practice of law, or the practice of law. And, this is most important, the preparation of legal instruments, including contracts, by which legal rights are either obtained, secured, or given away, although such matters may not then or ever be the subject of proceedings in a court. So, what does that really mean? I see it all the time that people come in and they say, hey, my accountant went ahead and set up my company. Now, it is arguable whether the accountant preparing articles of incorporation or articles of organization for corporations or LLCs respectively and filing with the state, whether that is the practice of law. Florida makes it so easy that there's an online form, so maybe it's not. Although I gotta tell you, that's on the borderline. But when the accountant also prepares an operating agreement, that is a contract. That is a very important contract, and there's no doubt about it that if your accountant has prepared your operating agreement, he or she is engaging in the unauthorized practice of law. So I just want to point out that the Florida Supreme Court has authorized the Florida Bar to investigate these complaints. The Florida Supreme Court can issue civil injunctions. This will be a civil proceeding where actual damages can be awarded. But then most importantly, it is a third-degree criminal felony in Florida to engage in the unauthorized practice of law. So you get the 555. You can have up to 5 years in prison, up to 5 years probation, and these are ands, up to $5,000 fine. Okay, so the court can issue a civil injunction. The Unauthorized Practice of Law Committee, the UPL committee, can issue a cease and desist letter. And most importantly, they've made it really easy, online form, to actually report somebody for the unauthorized practice of law. So what are a couple things you're going to look for? Out-of-state lawyers practicing law in your state. You're going to look for disbarred lawyers continuing to practice law, and you're going to look for non-lawyers, typically you accountants out there, who are drafting contracts, reviewing contracts, and giving advice. Now, as a fun corollary, most people who come from Latin America or Europe are familiar with the civil system, the civil code system, and under the civil code system, we actually had two different types of lawyers, okay? You would have what are known as barristers, which are the ones that go before the courts, and you would have more what is known as a civil notary. So just to be clear, in Florida, just because you're a lawyer does not make you a notary. As a matter of fact, I am a notary. I had to take a class and pay a fee and get a bond, okay? But the meaning of notary in Florida or in the United States is vastly different than the meaning of notary in, for example, Venezuela or Colombia, where when my father passed away, we had to go before a French civil notary to handle his will. That will process is something you would do with a lawyer in America. In fact, the only thing I'm aware of that notaries do, and I guess I should know this since I took the class, is authenticate signatures on documents. Okay, so and by the way, in Florida you only need this stamp. This one is just fun because it does the raised paper, like it feels really good. It's kind of fun. You like feel like that. So, anyways, once again, unauthorized practice of law. Don't do it. If you know someone who's drafting contracts, giving legal advice, and I'll even go down the line. If you're driving down the street and they have notario, Obamacare, inmigración, and you're like, wait a minute. You can get your taxes done, you can get your health care, they can notarize the document, they'll probably get you a passport photo, and they can prepare your immigration papers. Be very careful because it's probably not a lawyer, it's at best a paralegal, and that's an interesting thing. So paralegals, by the way, typically have some legal training, but they must work under a lawyer. If they're not working in a law firm, even if they're a trained and certified paralegal, they can no longer hold themselves out as such. I know a gentleman who works for a franchising company, and he's a paralegal, and it's like, you know what, guy, you're not a paralegal because you don't work for a law firm. And we get to have a whole conversation about whether those companies are engaging in the unauthorized practice of law by preparing legal documents. So be careful out there. And once again, this is Eric Rodabois coming at you from Facebook land. Next week, we're going to do the thing about the decanting of trusts. And this is our stress balls, so if you're stressed out, squeeze it. And anyways, thank you very much.